There has been a lot of talk about the potential fight between you and Ilia Topuria. How do you look at that situation?
Yeah, I like this idea. If UFC want, I know a lot of MMA fans want this fight. I'm ready.
What about fight in White House in Washington? Do you thinking about that?
Yeah, also it's the one of the arena where I'm gonna fight next, and we have the Ramadan month when I'm not gonna training 1 month, and after that I will slowly beginning my training camp, and I will be ready White House or as a on other dates. I will be ready.
The White House card already has petrol on it before it has even been finalized. Islam Makhachev simply raised the ante by aiming directly at Ilia Topuria. There was no hesitation or side chat, just a straightforward challenge that immediately changed the subject. The division's rising wrecking ball is about to be put to the test on one of the biggest stages in the world. According to the most suffocating force at lightweight, this is a power move that could reshape who controls the era if it truly makes it onto the White House card.
I think when Ilia comes back, for him to go to 170, is the risk to reward worth it? I think so. He'd be the first 3-time UFC champion ever. So he'll be not in Mount Rushmore. He'll be in face. Will be in Mount Rushmore. No one's ever won 3 belts. No one's ever done it. And as it stands, even right now, it's a very uphill battle for Ilia to go up to 170 and beat Makhachev. So if he does, you can't argue that he's not the Michael Jordan of it, that he's not above everybody. John Jones, GSP, like you got to just put him in his own category of greatness, and nobody can say nothing about him. You just got to sit there and be like, "Yep, he did it," and that's.
And it is no longer merely speculation. Islam Makhachev has now stated clearly that he is willing to take on Ilia Topuria on the White House stage. He is prepared to sign if the UFC insists on it and the fans want it. He anticipates returning to full fighting form just as the historic card is coming into focus after a brief hiatus for Ramadan. No overselling it, no showmanship, just the unwavering assurance of a champion who knows the time will come. And if it works, it might define a legacy rather than just be the focal point of a card.
There has been a lot of talk about the potential fight between you and Ilia Topuria. How do you look at that situation?
Yeah, I like this idea. If UFC want, I know a lot of MMA fans want this fight. I'm ready.
What about fight in White House in Washington? Do you thinking about that?
Yeah, also it's the one of the arena where I'm gonna fight next, and we have the Ramadan month when I'm not gonna training 1 month, and after that I will slowly beginning my training camp, and I will be ready White House or as a on other dates. I will be ready.
And if it works, it might define a legacy rather than just be the focal point of a card, because Ilia Topuria isn't taking a challenger stance in an attempt to win a decision. He is discussing turning the world of Islam upside down. Ilia made a joke about asking Makhachev what his favorite submission is, then using it to beat him. Topuria claims he would defeat the champion and finish him in front of his mentor, reversing the very dominance that established their dynasty, even though Khabib is anticipated to be cage-side.
How would you beat Islam Makhachev?
Me personally, I would ask him like, what's your favorite submission? Whatever. Dark show. I'm gonna submit you with that.
So if you ask him what his favorite submission is, you would do that to him?
Yeah.
This is a guy that's trained and coached by Khabib.
I take him close to Khabib. I will submit him closer to Khabib.
You'll submit him in front of Khabib?
Yeah. Khabib used to take people, take them down, and talk to Dana. I will take him,
And then talk to Khabib.
talk to Khabib.
The debate doesn't stop with bold predictions, it shifts into legacy talk. Chael Sonnen raised the real question: can Ilia Topuria ever be considered the greatest of this era if Islam Makhachev is dominating at the same time and they never actually fight? As remarkable as Ilia's run has been, Chael points out that Islam's resume mirrors it in many ways. If Makhachev keeps stacking wins, you're looking at a potential 2-division champion operating in the exact same window.
Can Ilia be the GOAT operating in the same time, the same era as Islam if those two never meet? As impressive as what Ilia has done, wouldn't you have to say Islam's done the same thing? And wouldn't you be forced to say that? Ilia's had one match at 155 pounds, and he won the world title. Islam's had one match at welterweight, and he won the title. So if Islam keeps going, he's a 2-division champion. How does Ilia surpass him? And there's a way. Right, first off, Islam has a...
Chano breaks it down further. Sure, Islam has a loss on his record, but do you really want to hold that against him? One slip doesn't erase the body of work or the dominance he's shown since. On top of that, timing plays a huge role. Ilia moved up and openly called out Islam, only for Makhachev to decline and head to 170 instead. The narrative starts to shift. It's not just about wins and losses, it's about opportunities taken and the era-defining moves each fighter makes.
Loss. What do you want to do? Everybody, right, it's one of those things. What do you want to do with that? You want to hold that against him? You want to act like that doesn't speak to his greatness as opposed to him getting caught in one moment? And what do you want to do? But eventually you're going to be forced to say, well, he's got a loss and he doesn't. You also do have the timeline that Ilia came to that weight class calling out Islam. Islam publicly said no to that fight and went to one.
Moreover, Jack Della Maddalena isn't holding back on his prediction. He sees Islam Makhachev coming out on top if the fight with Ilia Topuria ever happens. While he acknowledges Ilia's power and skill, Jack points out that Islam's size and presence could be a deciding factor. He also notes that if Ilia wants to make it competitive, he'd have to keep it standing and land clean shots. Bottom line, it's a matchup that demands attention, and according to Jack, it's one the UFC needs to make happen. A clash like this wouldn't just settle debates, and it could shake up the entire lightweight division.
Who do you got winning? Islam or Ilia?
Man, I don't know. I think Islam.
For real?
Yeah. Ilia's good. I just reckon the size would be a lot.
He got bigger. He said he started taking creatine or some shit.
Yeah, he was big. But then again, Ilia he's a heavy puncher, right? If he can keep it on the feet and land punches, be a good fight. It needs to happen. I think a lot of people want to see that.
Additionally, Alexander Volkanovski reflects on his first fight with Islam Makhachev as a true showcase of the lightweight star's brilliance. Even back then, Islam's skill was undeniable, and stepping into the cage against him felt like a monumental challenge. Volkanovski highlights how Islam's style and talent were already world-class, and how that fight, packed with high stakes and record-breaking attention in Australia, proved why he's become one of the most dominant forces in MMA today.
Even though you didn't win that first fight in Perth, what did you gain from fighting Islam? It was very high level, and no one's really pushed into that level since.
Well, we know how good Islam is till this day. And look what he's doing. And everyone knew that back then. It's just he hasn't faced the guys yet to even get that type of resume. Even though his resume was still good, it wasn't the resume what he's got now, but everyone knew he was that good. And me moving up against a guy that's got that style, everyone thought there's no way. So for me to go out there and do what I did, and a lot of people thinking I won, and just having that type of fight, me still being pound for pound number one, was still crazy. Like for us, and we broke records here in Australia when you talk numbers and gates and pay-per-views here in Australia, everything like that. So it was a massive fight. It lived up to the hype, the storyline, everything around it was just incredible. And a very, very big part. Even though I lost, I still think it's probably the biggest moment of one of the biggest moments of my career till Sydney this weekend.
Yeah, and that was the last time you fought here in Australia.
That was the last time I fought in Australia, yeah. And that was me not defending. This time I'm defending a belt.
Volkanovski points out that Ilia Topuria's southpaw style could present a tricky puzzle for Islam Makhachev. Facing a left-handed opponent changes shot timing, angles, and overall strategy, even for someone as disciplined as Islam. Alexander notes that while Islam is methodical and focused, he tends to be more comfortable against orthodox fighters, which could make a clash with Ilia a fascinating tactical battle. If they do meet, it wouldn't just be a test of skill, and it would be a chess match inside the octagon.
Can change. And another thing that I want to touch, because you bring up Islam being a southpaw. Mm-hmm. So with Ilia's style, again, with a southpaw, a lot of your shot selections and everything changes with a completely different stance. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to give him a lot different problems. He's got time to work on those things, obviously. Yep. But I just don't think he's, I talked about being stoic and being on task and having that flow or that process to finding the shot. I think I will say this, I feel like he's a lot more effective on orthodox than southpaws. I'll say that.
Yeah,
I'll say that now.
You're saying Ilia Topuria is more effective against orthodox than southpaws? Or you saying...
Yes, even from little...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then Demetrius Johnson jumps in to break down the matchup further, highlighting how Ilia Topuria tends to perform better against orthodox fighters simply because that's what he's used to. Facing a southpaw like Islam changes the game. Johnson points out how Islam's body kicks, especially when delivered with precision and power, can shut down opportunities to counter. Ilia will have to adapt quickly, deciding whether to eat the strikes, close the distance, or wrestle through them. Johnson frames it as a compelling chess match in motion, one where every adjustment and angle could define the outcome.
Yes.
Yep, I agree. I feel Ilia Topuria fights better when he fights orthodox because that's what you get used to seeing when he fights somebody who's southpaw, because that's one of the things that Islam did to you. He threw that body kick because you're shorter, right? Like even when I fight guys who are taller and they go southpaw and they throw that body kick, I'm like, fuck, I can't get to him. If they throw the body kick correctly, right? If they throw it like, a whip, you're going to be able to get to him. But if I throw like a Muay Thai, like a whoom, and drive my knee across your forearms, it's like there's no opportunity for you to counter. It's a lot harder to deal with, and that's what I think Islam's going to try to do. But then, like you said, Ilia Topuria is going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to eat that right hand immediately, or eat it, try to wrestle, eat it, or try to get closer to him. So it's an interesting matchup, and I can't wait to see how those two approach the dynamic of that fight.
Johnson then explains why Ilia Topuria is such a handful in the cage. He describes him as relentless, constantly moving forward and never letting opponents settle. Trying to evade Ilia only works against you because the moment he closes the distance, he's ready to strike. With a proven chin and a fearless willingness to trade blows, Ilia represents the type of fighter who pushes you to your limits, the kind that's toughest to outsmart or outlast. That relentless aggression combined with his skill set is exactly what makes a potential clash with Islam so intriguing.
Exactly. I think Ilia's always been the fucking bull. Even when he fought you, when he fought Max, when he fought Bryce Mitchell, he's always coming, and that's why I think it's so hard to fight. Because even when I don't fight anymore, but I'm like, okay, where do you beat a guy like Ilia? Where do you beat a guy like Volk? Where do you beat all these guys? And I feel with Ilia, if you try to run from him, you're fucking yourself. Because if he finds you, then it's like, fuck. Now I gotta try to, it's like fighting Rodtang. If you ain't got a chin and you can't, good luck trying to beat Rodtang in a striking battle, right? Because he just has chin and he has the power. So I feel like Ilia, he's got it, his chin hasn't been tested. I feel like it's been tested, but he's willing to give a shot he takes his shot to give his own shot. And I feel like those are always the hardest.
Whereas Jorge Masvidal weighs in on the stakes if Ilia Topuria ever chases Islam Makhachev up to 170. He frames it as a high-risk, high-reward scenario, and if Ilia pulls it off, he'd become the first fighter in UFC history to hold 3 belts, instantly putting him in Mount Rushmore territory. Jorge emphasizes just how monumental that would be, saying that beating Islam at that weight would cement Ilia in a league of his own, on par with legends like John Jones or GSP, and place him in a category of greatness that's untouchable.
I think when Ilia comes back, for him to go to 170, is the risk to reward worth it? I think so. He'd be the first 3-time UFC champion ever. So he'll be not in Mount Rushmore. He'll be in face. Will be in Mount Rushmore. No one's ever won 3 belts. No one's ever done it. And as it stands, even right now, it's a very uphill battle for Ilia to go up to 170 and beat Makhachev. So if he does, you can't argue that he's not the Michael Jordan of it, that he's not above everybody. John Jones, GSP. Like you got to just put him in his own category of greatness, and nobody can say nothing about him. You just got to sit there and be like, yep, he did it, and that's...
Masvidal continues, emphasizing just how monumental a feat it would be for Ilia Topuria to take on Islam Makhachev at 170. He paints Islam as almost mythological, the pound-for-pound king who's dominated the division for years, dismantling every top name and submitting the best with ease. Jorge stresses that if Ilia can overcome that, he belongs in a category all his own. Every fighter in the sport, even those critical of Ilia, would have to acknowledge his legitimacy, because beating someone like Islam isn't just about skill, it's about navigating a complete package, and staying on the feet too long against him is a fast path to disaster.
Dude, who is this mythological figure? Now you're talking about he's gonna go to 170 and beat the #1 pound for pound guy in the whole sport that's been holding it down for like 4 or 5 years that I can think of. This guy's just crushing everybody. The biggest names that he gets crushes him, just takes him into a black hole and submits him, you know. So Ilia gets that done. You put that dude in his own plate. You didn't even talk about him. Just like you didn't even talk about Ilia, because that's something that still every head in the sport will turn. Every fighter, no matter how much they dislike Ilia or whatnot, could only say one thing, like, yep, Ilia's the damn truth. Because he's the complete opposite fighter to beat a guy like Ilia's Makhachev. That's the type of guy you need to beat Ilia. Somebody could just keep it on the mat, because if you stay on the field.
On the other hand, Colby Covington isn't holding back on who he wants to see face Islam Makhachev next, and it's Ilia Topuria. Colby sees it as a true litmus test, a fight that could settle debates over who really deserves the pound-for-pound crown in the UFC. For him, if there's any matchup that matters with Islam, this is the one that has to happen. A showdown like that, he says, would leave no doubt about who truly rules the lightweight division. So do you think this fight will land on the White House card? And if it does, who do you see coming out on top? Islam Makhachev or Ilia Topuria? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest MMA updates.